Hi everyone, Namaskar. My name is Dr. Joseph Thomas. I am an army veteran and a corporate leader. I'm a social entrepreneur, I'm an educationist, and I'm also an author by accident. Maybe I'll explain to you why I'm telling I'm author by accident. So today I'm going to talk about my second book, which is, you can see here, it's called Conman in Chief of Capital Coup. And this, by the picture, you can understand the caricature of Trump in the book. And I thought I'll just take a little time, talk to you on this book and why the title, what's the interest of Trump, and as Indians, and how does it make a difference for us, and what is you're going to get in the book. I'll just take a few minutes explaining from title of the book, then Trump as a president, then how it impacts India, and what happened on India on the Capitol Hill, how this impacts the not just India, not US, globally. So that's the overall idea of today's just talking to you, and I'll start from the book, The Conman in Chief, the title. So you all know what is the meaning of conman. So conman is the one who con people, who tell stories and trap people to get to whatever the agenda you want to fulfill, right? You heard so many conmans. Even in India, you'll find so many conmans cheating people on doing fraudulent things and so many things. And so when you are president of United States, Donald Trump, so by designation, he's a president, is also a commander-in-chief of the United States. So as a commander-in-chief of the United States of the Army, so I'm calling him conman in chief, because what he did on 6th of Jan 2021 is not something simple to let go as an incident, or it's not an isolated case of what happened in America, right? So this is, I'm sure you'll agree with me that whatever happens in the US, this also got an impact on overall, the globally. And if it's a good president, he comes with good policies. And I think it starts from economy, from technology, from military, from development, peace process, climate change. The US president play a major role. And whatever he takes the decisions, this always have an impact on the global scale. And that is the one reason I thought of, I think it's a time somebody had to write on this book. And I'm sure there's so many books written on Donald Trump, on and he himself wrote so many books on about how to be a billionaire, how to make money, and Trump universities, and how you can make deals. And I think he wrote so many books on again, in terms of money making has the overall agenda. But he doesn't have any book on leadership. I think when you talking about the president of any country for that matter, what matters is the leadership, right? And the leader is the one who lead by example. And just take you back last 4 years back, what happened in the United States, and what all happened, the repercussions happened in India. So if you follow the news, or if you follow the current affairs, if you follow whatever happened in the US, you will understand with me. So whatever Trump's policies impacted the world overall, and so many people suffer because of his wrong decisions, or his crazy ideas, and even his rhetorics. So I can give so many examples of the decisions. So in my book, I captured a couple of things in what decisions he took and how it impacted the world, right? So before I get into the detail of the book, so you have to understand Donald Trump is a real estate guy, and he was never be a kind of not a governor, not hold any. Generally, you will see the US presidents either from public administrations or worked in the government sector, or from a military background or war veterans. Usually that's how people take on the top. And this guy never did anything as a country as a whole other than his own business. So the number one, that itself was a question mark on how a guy from a real estate agent, right, real estate broker, real estate developer, he made it to the top. Number two is, and the day he was, I think he was involved in the presidential campaign. More than three, I think easily around 30 or 40, the women filed a sexual harassment case against him. And from last 15, 20 years, there's more than 3,000 cases, including criminal cases against Donald Trump and his organizations on the fraudulent means of his business and his tax payments and so many illegal activities. And the person with that kind of background, I made it to the top of United States president itself was as a wrong president set in the US 4 years back. And maybe US were looking for a change. They thought by his his talking and his speech and make America great again. So many all this he fooled people by his own way of charming people. And when people looking for a job, especially the white supremacist youngsters who were looking for a change, and they thought maybe this is the guy who's going to take us to the next level. And so what happened in front of you? So the day he took the president, maybe it's the beginning of the downfall of the United States, I can say. And so from last 4 years of his tenure, it was always without controversies. He just named from the day one of the office, the first thing he signed as a president is travel ban. Then the building a wall on Mexico border. Then immigration, ban on immigration. So so many. So then he changed and he signed against the Paris Agreement on climate change. Everything and whatever was there, whatever was continued, he wanted to change everything because he thought, I think that's the best way to keep his people happy. So and if as an Indian perspective, what impact it has. So India, I think most of the India's business from IT sector is either outsourced to India or India got all this US 500 Fortune 500 companies, maybe R&D centers or technology centers, GCC. So many companies are out of India, so it creates millions of jobs. So you saw the big difference or the change in terms of outsourcing from US to India. So companies, and they forced companies in the US to not outsource. If you outsource, we are going to penalize and put a lot of taxation on you. And even he asked Indian companies like Infosys or TCS or other companies who's operating out of US to hire people in the US itself. So can you imagine? So just if you're from an IT guy, you'll understand. So the US minimum, the salary, right? So minimum basic salary in the US is $60,000, which almost comes to around 45 lakhs. That's the package we're talking about. So just imagine if 45 lakhs is the taxation. So you can imagine if a software guy or from the fresher joining companies, and you can hire 10 people in India. And that's exactly the reason that all the US companies are opening engineering centers or development centers in India. And that's how it works. And anyways, he started, first thing is banned, the travel ban. So what happened? People are all, somebody from US, Indians or in India for vacation or something. So half of the family was stuck in US. Husband was here for some maybe medical emergencies. He's not able to go back because I think there's so much chaos he created, and he banned 7 Muslim countries restrictions on travel. Right, and he promised to build a wall on the Mexico border because he told all immigrants from Mexico are coming to US, and he's going to stop that one. And he was absolutely against the immigrants who's coming to US. So, and let me give you an example of he himself is the son of an immigrant, and many of you don't know this one. So his mother immigrated from Scotland to US in 1920s or 30s. All right, his his grandfather was a German, and he moved from Germany to US in the early 19th. So you can say that one. So he's a son of an immigrant. He's not a native American, right? So mother is British, father is a German. And if you did a lot of research and had found that, and this guy, even his father, Donald Trump's father, was always pretended and played like he is not an immigrant. He is from other countries, right? So he's trying to portray this the face. So he inherited his conmanship from his father, because his father was also into all kinds of fraudulent things. And so let me talk about the Mexico wall, right? So in my book, I just quoted a nice line. So the leaders, and if you think that the bridge and the wall, both are built by the same cement and rod and the steel. And what happened? The bridge brings people together, and the wall blocks people. And so that is the difference of his leadership style. He want to block people. He want people not to come to India, the US from Mexico. And he's almost spent more than $1 billion building this wall. So just to satisfy his ego, nothing else. There's no value add on. He's going to stop it, right? So US, if you really know the history of US, most of the people are immigrants in the US. Hardly any few Native Americans. And I know how many people you understand. US was also Britain's colony. It was a British colony in 17th century and before. So today is the 4th of July. And 4th of July, I don't know how many people will remember this. It's Independence Day of the United States. It's almost 245 years of independence they're celebrating today. So before the independence, they are actually part of the colony of British. Like British, they came to India in 17th century, 1757, by a back entry of East India Company. These guys are always in the US. It's part of their expansion plan. All right, so when I come to is the next, the madness. I captured around, I call it the madness of Trump. It's around the 6 chapters on what are the madness he did. So we talked about the Mexico wall. We talked about the travel ban. Then you will read on immigration policies. And the 2 more things I want to highlight at this point is, one, I just touched upon climate change and how he pulled out from Paris Agreement on climate change. And so the other one, one of the other important chapter, why this book is also written, is his actions on how he treated this coronavirus as a whole, as a pandemic, and how he downplayed the whole coronavirus as nothing. And if you follow from last March to almost last 1 year, he never accepted coronavirus as a pandemic. He just keep underplaying that one. Whoever told the truth, and he fired a lot of people because somebody is coming and telling it's a pandemic, it's going to impact life, it's going to be tsunami, and the people are going to die. And this guy as president was so careless, and he always underplayed on that one. And today, after 1 year, I don't know, even US is today more than 35 million people are impacted with corona. And you know what? More than 600,000 people, that is 6 lakhs people, more than 6 lakh people died because of coronavirus. And this is where I'm coming to a leadership thing. And what is leadership? And what do you expect from a president like Donald Trump on leadership? If a leader's careless attitude, they lost 6 lakh people. And who's responsible for this one, right? Somebody had to take responsibility. And every time, his team or raise the issue, and so till the time he got corona for himself, he never agreed that the corona is a thing. He told it's a flu, and it will go away. In March 2020, he told, okay, it's going to be summer next month. So with the heat of the summer, the virus is going to die. And he made bizarre statement. I don't know how many of you remember in the White House statement. He told, why don't we inject some kind of a pesticides or some cleaning solutions on people, so that is going to kill the germs, kill the virus. Can you imagine what he's talking? He's talking like, take a Harpic or some toilet cleaner and inject people. So that's going to kill the virus. Imagine what kind of a guy he's a president, and such nonsense he's talking. And I'm sure you remember this. He talked about hydrochloric this tablet, this HCQ, and he told, okay, that's a medicine. So that's actually a medicine for malaria. He told, no, we are going to give all the corona patients. And who is the biggest producer of HCQ? It's India. So he asked India to, okay, you send me the HCQ, because we are going to the same phase. And I think the government said, we can't supply enough. And he got the audacity of coming and telling me, I'm going to put restrictions on you. Look at this bully, right? He's a president, and this is how the president talks to another country. I'm going to put restrictions on you. Okay, be careful, right? I'm going to come after you. And this is the kind of thing he talks. And so all this is important, right? So look at the number of people died, and the family who suffered because of a wrong leader at the top. And that is how it's important, why leadership is important. Come to the title, and so why this, I think this is important for us as a reader. For every book is got something. I think that's the reason we buy the book. And this book is one of my real reason to writing these books, to highlight the topic what is not on the public domain. A lot of his misdeeds and his dealings and his fraudulent things I want to highlight to the world, because this book is not for India, right? So this book is definitely for the global audience. Whoever, I think one of my friends was asking, are you a Democrat, or are you anti-Trump, or not a Republican? No, I think I have nothing doing with Democrats or Republican. But I told you before, I'm a soldier by my first journey, and that was my passion. And it's important for me to, when people get into this one, it's important to highlight where we're going wrong. So one of the reason is, I think people should understand why it's important to be the right person on the right job. And you also will, I think heard many times, even if the president of the US he fell sick or he got corona, there's a stock exchange fall in US, from US and all over the world, even including India, because that is the kind of impact the US president play thing. And people call US as a big brother. Of course, they're the number one economy. They are 21 trillion economy. They're the superpower from almost 75, 80 years. They're the number one superpower. They are number one in technology. They're number one in I think there's so many factors. US is definitely number one, and people look up to the United States, because why? And so they attacked this. So if you see in the title, if you see the capital, I don't know how many people know this capital. So when I say capital, is a kind of for a comparison, you can say it's a parliament house, like India's parliament house. A Capitol Hill is a parliament house of US. So in that complex of Capitol Hill, it's almost 20 different institutions function from there, including the parliament. They don't have a parliament system. There's a Senate, and the Supreme Court. There's so many institutions from the army headquarters, from all these institutions are out of this place. And Pentagon almost got 200 plus years of history, and it was built from last, you can say 250 years, since the first president till now. And so it's actually, people look up to Capitol as I call it a citadel of democracy. People look up to with so much of respect for the thing. And if you're been to US, or if you, I'm sure they definitely visit the Capitol as part of the tourist package, and White House, and then the Capitol. It's all part of the same avenue. So it's Pennsylvania Avenue. You will see that one. It's a kind of amazing, beautiful structure. A lot of, and I think it brings a lot of legacy of US journey. And imagine the kind of people from Abraham Lincoln, and Roosevelt, and you can talk about so many the great leaders who are on the top of this president's office, Oval Office, and finally you ended up with this guy. And so I just want to bring back to the topic of what happened, right? 6th of Jan, 2021, this year, when the Senate is going to announce the winner of the elections, because US elections are slightly different from India elections. It's a presidential form of elections. So Joe Biden was a Democrat, and he was running for the second term, Donald Trump. And the elections are over in November. So he started talking about the conspiracy of voter fraud. He's talking about fraudulent means, because he's a fraud, so he can't think of anything else, right? He was crying and cribbing and complaining about fraud. And I'm sure in India, you see that a lot of opposition parties always cry about EVM machines, voter fraud, because of people are in power, against the power. Opposition always do any party for that matter. Here the president himself, and he's crying about voter fraud. What nonsense! How can voter fraud can happen because you are not opposition, you are not an opposition candidate, right? And the only difference is, and I really want to highlight, the institutions of the US did the job well, because they are obligated to the Constitution. And so he called a meeting of all these disciples, his supporters, and it's a lot of blind supporters of Trump in US. And he called everyone to Pennsylvania Avenue. He told, okay, just assemble everyone on the Capitol Hill. And he promised them, everyone, now just assemble. I'm going to be there with you. And we are going to fight this government. We are going to fight this wrong thing. And everyone, like a mad, everyone rushed to the Capitol. Everyone assembled. People started fighting with the forces. They entered the Capitol. They ransacked the whole building. And they entered the chamber of the speaker, and all the Senate House, like as Parliament, inside the Parliament House, and some of them took sitting on speaker's chair and taking selfies, and they fought with the forces who's guarding, and they damaged the whole of the furniture and they took and there's a report, they also stolen a lot of things from this building. And all this is happening, and this guy, he told, I'm going to be there, and he was sitting in the White House and all watching on the TV. And this is the leader, right? And what is leadership? This is leadership. Leader is the one who leads from the front. If you call your people, make sure you be there. And that's what I'm an army guy, I'm telling you. So in the army, the leaders lead from the front. You take any war, I was part of the Kargil war. Now, if you look at the number of people who died, right, a lot of young officers died. Because why? They are at the front, they're fighting the war. And that is how they lead. They didn't, sitting in the bunkers and telling, the Jawans, you just go, I'll come at the back, right? No. And that is the difference. And this guy is sending people and risking their life, and he's sitting in the White House and he's doing nothing. He's how can you call him a leader? He's a coward. And I think in India he's a darpo. He made all these people fall into his wrong narration. And what happened? So there was shots were fired. Almost 5 people lost their life. More than 200, 300 people were arrested on serious charges. They'll never get away from these charges. And this guy is, after all this, and what happened? So the beauty of the US, I think why this book is also going to highlight about how the beauty of I call this the resilience of the democracy. That's a beauty, right? Whatever happened, the institutions in the US, they didn't come under pressure. They did the job. And I'm sure you might have seen the report. The Army chief of Army staff, defense staff, the general, he came out and said, I am responsible for the Constitution. I took oath in the name of the Constitution. I'm going to protect and safeguard this country. I'm not going to dance to the whimsies and fancies of the President Trump. What beautiful thing, right? So you got a guts to say that one and say, I'm going to support the Constitution values. And you really salute these people. And Supreme Court did a great job. They didn't agree to all his claims because he was only crying without any evidence. Finally, so the other point, if you have to remember, so 20 Jan 2021, right? So 20th every year from last 245 years, 20 Jan is the fixed day for a change of guard. In a change of new elected president will take oath as the president of the United States on 20th Jan, whatever said and done, whether it's earthquake, there's a tsunami, there's whatever happens in the world, even in World War, world everything, that day will never changes. And that's the beauty of this institution, set the process in place. And this guy, the con man, he never show up. And I know he's the 45th president of the US, and Joe Biden the 46th president. And it's a customary and courteous to attend and change of guard, and you'll be there. And I think Obama was there when you took over the presidency. He was there, and that is the gentleman. That's a statesman spirit. That's a courtesy you need to extend. And this guy didn't come. He, in fact, he disappeared. The same day he went to Florida. His mansion he made out of his fraud money. And even some report says, and I written in a book, he took even nuclear buttons along with them. He didn't even hand over. And so I think, if you read this one, you'll understand his stories of things. And so for me, I have nothing against this guy as an individual. I'm highlighting this because of, just imagine the institution did their job. If they fail to do the job and they agreed to, go with this guy's law, so you're going to create a wrong president. Now there's no more democracy, right? He's going to be the dictator, the one more guy. The Putin is the president forever. Next 20 years he's going to be president because he changed the constitution. And Xi Jinping, the Chinese bully, he's going to be president till his lifetime. If these guys are going to make themselves as a president for a lifetime, and this world is going to be ruled by all the dictators. And we have the history also talks about, we've seen enough dictators in a time, and it will never be successful, right? So that's what the beauty of democracy is. That's the process, right? So the government will come, people got the right to vote the next government, and it functions democratic way, and that's very important. And I think less talk about his personal life is better. So officially he got 3 wives, he divorced 2, and the third one is thing. And also he's so against the immigrants. Is both the wife are immigrants. He's not US natives, right? So look at this, because hypocrisy of this guy. Look at this double standard of this guy. And so if you watch one of his movie on Netflix, and one of the reason he divorced his first wife Ivanka, and he said in the interview, I don't like to sleep with a woman with a 3 child. Yes, you heard it right. He is talking about his wife, and the 3 children belongs to him. And he says, look at this audacity, like shameless guy. And he's telling, I don't want to sleep with the woman with the 3 children. And that is this guy. And it's again, and I think, anyway, so the good stories from last 6 months, nobody even talking about Trump now after he left. And that's what happens, right? People come, people go. What remains is the process and the system, what you set in the place. And that's the US is a great democracy and the example for the rest of the world. The great thing happened, so at least I see the other one of the chapter I'm writing on this guy is because they impeached him twice. He's the only president in the history of US got impeached twice. Impeachment is the shame is they never do that one unless you are such a crook. And now you do, and I think the first impeachment was against his fraudulent means of setting up the Ukraine president to investigate his Joe Biden's son's business, but he got acquitted because of the typical voting. They didn't have enough votes. The second impeachment also was very close. Almost 10 Republicans also supported to impeach him. Once you impeach, this guy cannot run for any office, public office. He cannot be in any other job. He cannot run for the presidency. So impeachment was very, very crucial, very important. But again, this time also they lost with few margins. They didn't impeach him. So my only thing is, he is not impeached. There's chances of his coming back and fighting the 2024 election. And that is the reason Also, I feel this is important for people to understand this guy should never be in the office. In my book, you can see, you'll find a quote, and which I quote. So the world is sleeping better without conman Trump in the White House. He's not in the White House, the world is sleeping better, because otherwise he's always known for digging his nose in everywhere, right? And that's what he is good in doing things. And so in this whole 4 years of thing, there's a very, and I was trying to see some positives he did, which I want to highlight. Now, when you see hundreds of all this nonsense he did, and fraudulent things he did, and there's nothing for me to positive to highlight. So I'm very brutal and honest to say, and it's a good thing he's not in the office. I wish and pray that he's not going to be fight the next elections, and I'm pretty sure he will not, because the other day, yesterday, Donald Trump's organization's chief financial officer was not arrested, he surrendered to the department because of the opening up his Pandora box of all criminal deeds, and he surrendered, which is a good thing. So, and there are so many cases against him. He's all coming to final stage. He just cannot escape from all this thing he did, because I'm talking about karma of how karma comes back and haunt you, right? He's going to get the karma of his wrongdoings. He's going to face the music of his karma. So I'm very, very strongly believe that he's going to face the music, and otherwise he's going to set a wrong precedent for all the youngsters. So that's another thing I want to highlight. And overall, I feel it's an interesting book for you to you'll get to hear a lot of things which you are not know about the US as a country. Capitol Hill as a world's one of the top monuments, or I said the citadel of democracy. Then presidential elections, how they do, and how they use the social media campaign to misguide and influence people on his side, and how these algorithms works, and how they easily manipulate people and voters elections, and why this guy should not be back in office. So, and that's my hope, and that's my belief, that this is not going to happen, but you never know, and you can never say never. And and the one thing is, I'm happy that he's not young anymore, though he thinks he's young, because he's always in the company of pretty girls, but he's now going to be 75. So you don't have much time with him. You can whatever you can play, but he's still suspended from Facebook and Twitter, which was his kind of a platform to all this. It's a good thing, at least these companies took a stand and suspended him, so at least he's not able to spill any more poison and nothing. So a lot of ways his wings are clipped. So let's wait and see how things will happen. But I think I feel it's a worth investment on this book, because some of the stories it's worth they say to understand the background. I'm sure it's not just an US alone story, it's going to be a global story. As Indians, we got a impact because if he comes back to the US office again. So overall, I think it's a good read. You'll enjoy it, and I can guarantee you this is my second book, which is within 24 hours. His publication was ranked as #1 bestseller in Amazon, and you can see the orange tag. So this is the orange tag of #1 bestseller. So it's a very, as an author, this is a great honor to get a orange tag as a bestseller. This is my second book. Both of my books are bestsellers, and I want to take maybe 30 seconds to thank Adyan Books and Nitin Soni and team for the great support and fantastic professional work, everything on time and professionally done. So I'm happy to be part of Nitin Soni and team, and I invite all of you to, if you get a chance, you can buy in a Kindle form, an ebook, or paperback. And I wish you all the best, and wish you happy reading. Thank you, and Jai Hind.